What's up, everybody? We are back once again. Episode 3 of The Last of Us. Thanks for joining us, man. We're really excited. It's your boy, the final boss, once again. We have Zach, the main man, joining us, setting up the whole stream. So he's provided for this live stream. Man, there's so much to talk about here. We're going to break down the episode for sure. We'll let everyone come in here at once. Whoever's joining us, whoever watched last week, thank you, man. We hit 100 views. It jumped up from the previous week. So let's keep growing this thing. Let's keep talking about The Last of Us. We have 6 more episodes left, and it's getting better and better. So let us know what you guys think in the chat, man. Hit us up. And Zach, how are you doing this week before we get into it?
I'm good. This is a very divisive episode. I hate when people use that word, but in this case it is, based on how our country is, I guess, and based on the difference between the video game and the TV adaptation, which we'll talk about, and we want your takes as well. If you got a take on it, let us know. But I'm excited, and I'll be honest, this episode really hit me. So
man, each episode I've had a friend who I've talked to where it's hit them in different ways. The first episode with Joel and his daughter, that ending was crazy. Last week, Tess, that really got to my girlfriend. She was petrified with the whole scene and the way that went out. And we're going to get to it in this episode as well. Before we get there, though, speaking of the video game, we do have something that happened this week, Zach, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, Anne Rushing passed of cancer at a young age. Very sad. I know her from 24 before this. She was so good in that show in 24, and she's in a host of other stuff. But in the Last of Us community, Anne Rushing passed, and you can see a clip here of her emoting. Fantastic job. I mean, this character, we talked about it last week. This character was huge and was kind of the glue in getting everything going.
Yeah. This is shocking to hear. I didn't it kind of happened out of nowhere. I'm glad, again, a very, very young age. I didn't know she was battling with this. She was great as Tess in both iterations, and I'm glad for the remake that just happened last September. They got to put more of her face as the character, so they changed Tess's face a little bit more, as you can see right in that picture right there. But yeah, she did amazing things with that, and then Zach said she was in 24 as well. She was in a few other things, man. But it's sad to see.
Yeah.
Star Trek, another one.
Yes. But check out some of her work if you can find it. I really enjoyed her work in 24. That show relies heavily on the acting for the twists and turns to happen, and she was fantastic.
Yeah. So, it's sad to see someone go so early.
Yep.
But, yeah, shout out. At Last of Us HBO, we got the 2 stars of this episode right here. Going here. So I know Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec. I don't know if you what any other stuff you might have seen him in.
He's in a bunch of stuff, and he's going to be in an upcoming Christmas movie with Eddie Murphy, and I can't remember the rest of the cast, so I don't want to mispronounce anything. But he's going to be in that, and he's got a lot of stuff coming on. He has some books out there as well, and Murray Bartlett as Frank too. Man, these two just killed this fucking episode.
They did.
People already talking about award season, next year's award season, when this year's is just happening now. So
yeah, so I mean, I don't know what type of awards you can send them their way, but to be able to, especially for a gamer. So my girlfriend's seen this for the first time. I've talked about it in the series. She's seen this she instantly fell in love with him quickly. And for the trend for this past few episodes we've been talking about was these actors and actresses having such a short amount of time, an episode to make you fall in love, feel all these emotions until we get to the end. Like, we're gonna get to it for sure, but what I was gonna say is I'm so invested in the Joel and Ellie story. So for them to switch gears and primary focus these two characters and deliver, that's saying something, man.
It is. We'll get into it at the end where the showrunners explain their explanation for how this show operated or how this episode operated and their decision making from veering so far from the video game. And we love your comments too. And if you're not watching live, definitely leave comments on why you
Yes.
think the way you think about it, because your opinion matters, and that's what we do this for. We want to hear your opinions. But to me, as someone who watched The Walking Dead for many seasons, and it became work to watch,
Yeah.
I was very happy with this deviation. A, because it hit me, and B, it's different. Someone's not on just to kind of move everyone else's story. It creates a story about the world, kind of like how the scientists, which we didn't get in this beginning, the scientists brought us out of Joel and Ellie's
Hmm.
path. So that's what I thought this did as well.
I thought so too. Um, so we're gonna get to it in the beginning, but like it's just it was so well done, so well done. I'm
All
gonna
right.
talk about one slight difference here before we get into it, and
Okay.
I'm gonna talk it throughout as well, the differences in the game and the show. So in the game, you only see Joel and Ellie's perspective, so you don't get to see the backstory with Bill and Frank. And there's a lot of people that I think played the game and didn't even know the backstory of Bill and Frank because they weren't direct about it. It was like some indirect stuff that like when Bill would talk to Joel, he would say certain things that Joel already knew. So Joel the character knew, but if you're just playing, you have to
Right.
pick up on. So there's stuff like that. There there's the gay porn bag Ellie found later on in the episode, the game.
In the game.
So
Yeah.
there's that hint, and then he talks about Frank being his partner later
Yep.
on in his series. But two characters, Frank you don't see, and Bill who you only get a glimpse of, and he just talks about it in hints. To take all to take that and make a full story out of it was beautiful.
It was, and I like that because people complain about stuff being forced down your throat, and some people online are saying this episode forced a gay romance down your throat, which I completely disagree with, because how they did it in the game was so it was just treated like any other romance on there, and on the show here, it was again how he said, just to take it out and give the whole world a bigger picture. It's a
Yeah.
romance. This backlash would be, if it was a man or woman, but we should just be congratulating the performances that delivered on here. And let me just hit the chats really quick here, and then we can just dive right into the episode. All right, Real King of Fighters says this was the best episode so far, and it's so different, and I love it. And Mera Mera, I love the end scene, the window panning out shot, meaning the corpses were in there without showing them. Exactly. This is such an artistic episode. Chloe Martinez, thank you for joining as well. The strawberry scene was beyond adorable. You could almost experience it yourself with having gone through a pandemic ourselves. Good point right there. And can't imagine the joy of eating strawberries after years. Exactly. Good point,
Mm-hmm.
Chloe.
Yeah. Good comments there. Good comments. Keep 'em coming. Keep 'em coming.
Yeah. All right, you want to get into it? I'll get the slides rolling.
Yeah, let's get into it. So we open up the show 10 miles west of Boston. So we're getting a little further here with Joel and Ellie. They're starting to do their bickering, walking through the woods, some very luscious woods here. No clickers in sight. And you can tell instantly that Joel knows this route.
Yes.
So yeah, we're just moving along here. I really liked, again, I'm starting to really believe Bella Ramsey as Ellie. She's all the stuff she's saying, the back and forth, the little jabs trying to get his history, and then Joel just blocking everything she's doing. It's really reminiscent of the game.
It is. This scene was a very cool scene too, because now you're starting to understand Ellie more, because she
Hmm.
says how lucky Joel was to have gone up in the air and fly, and then we get back, grounded to bitter Joel, who says they weren't so lucky.
Yeah, because I mean, to him, who's like us, you get on a flight, you might be squish seats, all this type of problems that not real problems. Her to have this idea of you're on a fucking plane, you're flying
Right.
in the air, like all that is like just new to her and cool, and it's really cool to see both lenses. What I'll touch on with this scene in particular. So there's a part in one of the games. I'm not going to say too much, but I think they're hinting at with the plane because Ellie already admits her love for planes. So when you do see these people get closer later on, Joel goes out of his way for one of the flashbacks to get her to experience that in his way. The best way she could experience that in a post like apocalyptic world. It's nothing crazy. It's just like a cute like him being like a dad trying to do something for
Yeah.
Ellie. So it was a really nice scene there.
Okay.
So I think they might be playing it up, but they're throwing some little details in. And then this, if you want to talk about this right here,
This kicks off where we go from here in the episode. The quarantine zone. He doesn't want her to see this. She's starting to go against what Joel says because what's he really gonna do?
yeah,
He needs her just as much as they need each other, basically. But we get used to this, not used to this. We get shown this, and then it pans out a little bit, and you see a blanket or an outfit from a baby, and then we transition to the past, where this quarantine zone meant if there weren't enough for you, then you just get burned.
yeah, and which is just awful, awful. Showing you more sides of like this federal martial law type of situation they're in. And then the part where, like you said, when you said like some of them weren't even infected and they're still just off in them, it's just terrible stuff.
Yeah.
So it really gives you that depth.
All right, Knox Arden, we're about to get into this, so we'll get some comments rolling on this. Waiting for Bill to interact with Ellie. I was waiting for there to be cool action scenes. Instead, they had me crying like crazy. You and us both. I didn't need that. I've been emotional enough over this show. So this basically is the episode that sold everyone that was putting money behind this that they want to put
Yep.
even more money behind this. This was the episode that that really sold the show to the studio, to HBO, and everyone else. So we'll get into those differences, and Knock will be able to explain that a lot more. So
Yeah, just real quick since you brought it up. Thanks for joining in, Knock. Really appreciate that. But so this part here, you were crying, expecting action. I was expecting action too. I don't know if I said it in the last week's episode or if I told Zach in the chats. I thought this was gonna be like a super action-packed episode because when you go to Bill's town in the game, he has all these booby traps, all this crazy stuff,
yeah,
and they're going back and forth like. And there's more clickers, like there's clickers overrunning his town. It's a little more run down. So you're shooting, you're going across the city to get stuff. So it was very action packed, and they changed that. They hit us with a slower pace episode, and they were just hitting all the beats. The acting was just tremendous.
yes.
So I wasn't expecting this as well.
Yeah. And speaking of pandemic, Carlito is sick with COVID.
Oh
Sorry to
man,
hear
feel
that,
better,
man.
bro. Feel
Seriously.
better.
Yeah. Rest in water. That's what I've been told. Before we get into, Bill and the town, they go rummaging for stuff that Joel forgot. And you had a comment here about the Mortal Kombat 2 game.
Yeah, so we're getting to this. So I was confused here because when you get to this part here, this is reminiscent of another part in the game where they get attacked. But that didn't happen here. Ellie finds the Mortal Kombat game, and she briefly mentions like a friend or like playing it before. And if you play The Last of Us Left Behind DLC after the first game, her and her friend Riley, the one that she was running around with when she got bit, they play all these games. Riley was really good at it, and that's kind of what they're hinting at here, which I thought was really cool. And
Okay.
she's still not willing to talk about Riley yet, but we're getting like little glimpses of her sharing some more information. So we're getting to that point.
Okay. I not play the downloadable content stuff, so I'm all here for any comments that you got to throw our way. And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the character she mentioned for this game wasn't in Mortal Kombat 2? Wasn't it like a part 3 or 4 character?
It was Melina, right? I thought she was mentioning Melina, so I thought she was in all of them. Could be wrong.
Oh, she did. Okay, maybe I just misheard the name. But
Yeah, I don't think she actually said it, but the way she described it, I thought it was Melina. And then I know also in The Last of Us Left Behind, they have a Mortal Kombat poster, I believe, on Ellie's wall in the one of the cutscenes. So
okay.
I do think it was Melina.
Yeah, pretty cool scene. I like Joel forgetting stuff because it's been a while since he's been there, but it shows that he has gone this way. And then she goes down. It's one of those horror movie things that you yell at your TV for, but it gives us our look at one of the only two monsters other than the human beings. But she's so curious about everything. She has been just so like segregated from everything else that's going on in this post-apocalyptic world. She, cuts the thing open and then kills it with rage.
Yeah, and I saw this part too as her like just trying to take back a little bit of power.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if she at this point in the show she's killed a clicker or anything yet. I know in the game she had and we play Left Behind DLC, but I'm not too sure if she's killed any zombies yet.
This was the first. So Joel was protecting her in the museum.
Okay,
So this is interesting.
and she did not tell him that she did this.
No, that is true, and she doesn't tell him something else later on. All right.
All right,
But
so
we
yeah,
fast
then
forward. Oh,
you
go
got
ahead. You're good.
yeah.
You're
I was gonna
good.
say like, and so we go through this episode and like you're not really seeing too much of Joel and Ellie, which is again this is why I'm kind of torn. Also, I'm torn because I wanted to see more of Joel and Ellie's journey, and we only have 9 episodes to do it. But when you give us such a well done episode like this, it's hard to to not like it. So like Zach mentioned before, we didn't get the flashback with the scientist like they did in the beginning of the first two episodes. But I like this better. I'm glad they didn't because I think it would have took away from the pacing. So I'm glad they did a flashback. They went through Nick Offerman's character Bill's life.
Hmm. And this is one of the main things people wanted. They wanted Bill to meet Ellie and the banter between them. I enjoyed it in the game because Bill like yelled at a kid, and I liked it. But
Yeah, so I did like the same too because like they're both very snarky characters. So them going back and forth would have been cool. We'll get to it later. Why I'm starting to they're starting to win me over and why I'm okay with how they ended it.
yeah, when we get to the letter, that's my main point why there's nothing wrong with this episode.
Okay.
All right, but this is Bill's place. He guarded it with a fence. He's gone out with his boat for more storage, so he can stock up from the Home Depot and get everything he needs to generate electricity, keep the plumbing going, everything like that. Keep eating. He's eating fine meats. He's eating finer than my ass is here in LA, and he's got everything figured out. So he's got his own like quarantine zone, which is the town. It's all set up. He's not in contact with anybody, but he has everything that he wants.
He's everything he wants. He has the food. In his mind, at this point, he has everything he wants. You can see, I think he even smirked a little bit when he's driving around by himself.
Yeah.
Uh, and you could also tell. So when the people came in and take all the people out and start shooting them or whatever,
Yeah.
he was in his bunker. So before this even happened, he was isolated. Before the apocalypse even happened, he was what do you call it? Joel said something about him being are you one of those bunker guys? He's like, no, I'm a survivalist.
Right. So we get
Hey,
that, and yeah, we get like this part too, and you get a feeling of who you think this character is. They do a good job at putting someone into a category of person that we know today, and then flipping it, and
yeah,
they're that's part of them, and everything that people are in life, whether it's religion or whatever, it's part of you, and all these other things make up the puzzle that is you. And that was like the corniest thing I ever said, but that's what I meant.
you're good. You're good. Um, yeah. So like, I like we're really gonna see a development because when they showed Bill, this is what 3 years after everything happened.
Yes.
When they skip ahead, and he's just living on his own, man, self sufficient. Um, I'm surprised he didn't become more of a cynic. So when we do get to the part where he does meet Frank, he does seem like he seems a little more shocked to see somebody.
Right, right. We'll get to that in a second. Here, this is a behind the scenes photo of the clicker that he watches get shot in the head. It makes him snicker. He laughs because it's stupid. It's such a it's so different because then once he does meet Frank, that's when it's almost like when quarantine was over, you didn't know how close you wanted to get to humans here. So
Yeah,
it was a good balance.
yeah. Which is funny. It's like he's watching his own TV, eating his steak, watching his clicker
Yeah.
get.
Knox, yeah, I feel the same. Joel should be like helicopter parenting Ellie. Where are you? What are you doing? She needs one of those baby leashes that you see at Six Flags. Ellie's gonna get in trouble. She keeps lying. Of course she is.
Yeah,
If you tell the truth in something in a TV show, then you have no show. Bill watching clickers being killed on camera is a version of reality TV. It totally is. Here in LA, if you do not know, on the news, they will go away from the news and go right on to a high speed chase. So you're basically watching someone play Grand Theft Auto forever how long. It's very amusing. It's that for us in LA.
yeah. I like to say they have 5 stars on them. We watch it all the time. All these high speed chases all the time.
Yeah. And again, I apologize for the darkness of the pictures on here, but this is Bill eating dinner by himself. But yeah, a lot of isolation with Bill. He's working on stuff down in his bunker. It's so safe and secluded. They went through the house and they didn't even notice where the entrance was.
Yeah. And so there's one thing since they took away spores from the show, spores from the game, it's all in the air. This is probably the only time we're gonna see someone wear a gas mask when he popped out his door and he was looking around and be getting there.
Nice
But
timing.
yeah, and so this is all pretty much the same, right? But you don't get to see all this stuff. You don't get to see Bill's perspective in the game, but all this like him doing his booby traps, all this stuff. This is exactly how he was in the game.
Yeah. What did you think overall? I think I got one more slide of him.
Of how he played Bill.
Yeah.
This was literally spot on. So I don't know if like he played the games before or if he just did some research afterwards, but this was spot on to a T. Everything felt legit. Everything felt like, oh, this is how the character would actually be. So shout out to Nick Offerman. He killed it.
100%. I felt like I was, again, I played the game week after it came out. Certain things that are done really well in the show are bringing me back to the game. His performance, but and just everything flushed back like amnesia went away. So he did so fucking well.
He definitely did. And is it time to meet Frank?
It is. This is it. This is him going out there.
All right, so he goes out there. My boy Frank is in a hole. I don't know how Frank survived 3 years in the apocalypse. He ended up in a hole this quickly. I mean, I don't know how it was set up, but come on, man. The awareness needs to be better than that. Uh, but Bill gets to him. He's still trying to be lighthearted. Frank, he makes an Arby's joke. He has a gun pointed in his face, and he's still optimistic.
Yeah.
Um, so he's very lucky Bill didn't shoot him. I don't also want to know, how did Bill get one of Fedra's the little things to test if someone's sick or not? He had one of those, so I wonder how he got that.
Could have been left behind by one of the raids. He could have raided a truck while no one was looking, which I think might have been a little too risky for Bill. But yeah, it's one of those mysteries that we just kind of let slide.
Yeah,
The Arby's
yeah,
joke was funny, by the way, too.
that was hilarious, and it's funny because you bring up Arby's quite often, how terrible it is.
It's so gross. Yeah, it is.
Oh man,
They have the rotten meats.
we have the meat. But yeah, so these two finally meet each other. And I think that joke caught him off guard. Like, there's so much of Frank caught him off guard, and we've seen the stages of it. So him making the jokes when the gun pointed in his face, him getting invited in. First of all, actually, let me ask the chat. Let me ask Zach. Would you invited Frank in?
Uh, with Bill's state of mind, I wouldn't have.
Hmm.
But I mean, if he would have made that Arby's joke, I'd have been like, all right. But again, I'd have a weapon in my hand.
Yeah, there's so many different routes it could have went. Because, like, say you invite him in, you can't let him go because now he knows where you are.
Yeah, see, it's the
Uh,
joke.
yeah, Bill was definitely charmed by Frank after making the Arby's joke. Like, come on, everyone was charmed at that point. Um,
And then he's even more charming here when he plays the piano. Again, Frank is very um he's like, oh, look at all this stuff. I remember all this stuff. And Bill's like, that's my stuff. He has like hoarder mentality. That's my
mhm.
mother's piano. Like, he doesn't want his stuff touched. And right here, he is so like bored with a lot of the classical stuff, but then he finds Linda Ronstadt, and these are the lyrics for it if you want to look them up. But at the end there, that is basically the line that names the episode right there.
Nice touch, Naughty Dog.
Yes. So, but it's a very touching scene because Bill is trying to come out of almost two shells, being around humans and the possibility that his feelings that he does have towards men might not be met. So, this one opportunity to actually possibly find not only a friend but a lover could just blow up in his face right away and be like, "Oh, buddy, whatever. I'm out of here. I'm going to Arby's."
Yeah, he's so like reserved and guarded. He's been that way before the apocalypse even started. So it's like, finally see someone after 3 years of not seeing anybody. It's just you and your thoughts. I'm surprised he didn't go mad. And
Yeah,
then Frank comes in and he's making jokes. He's appealing to him. So it was a joke first, and then later on, when they're having dinner, he said, "Oh, I love a man." I don't know if he said like the certain wine. I don't know what the bread was. I don't know my wines, but he said the wine with a certain steak.
yep,
Um, I seen Bill, like, he's like, "Oh, so you know your stuff too," and like he doesn't want to say like what do you say, something like, "I know I don't appear to be know about this type of stuff, but I do."
yeah, yeah. He said like I think he called himself like that kind of person, or it was something
Yeah,
more very specific without being blatant in your face,
yeah.
and
So he's slowly coming out of that shell.
yeah, and it leads to this, and it's just you see him just like surrendering to Frank, but there's still that hesitation.
Yeah.
So
Um, and then real quick before we got to this, another genuine scene we saw. This man taking a hot shower for the first time in years. Oh man, you hear him? He couldn't help himself with how excited he was.
right. Yeah, so this scene too, again, he kind of Frank sets himself up for staying with Bill, which is smart on his part because he sees that Bill kind of has everything, but he is
Yeah,
also genuinely enamored with Bill.
I think he is. It would have been cool to see, like, where did he come from? First of all, did he just escape the? No, he was trying to find the Fedra QZ zone, the
Hmm.
quarantine zone. So I wonder where he came from and like how was he surviving all this long.
Right.
So
Inuncio.
those are my questions when this is happening, and then later on, actually, I think I see how he survived. When we get to it later, I'll say something. But
Okay, that's a good one, Knox. Yeah, I mean, they really do set it up, and then they leap forward again. They have a
it's been
life
what 10 years
together.
now.
Yeah, I do believe. And their life together, they show, like, this is a scene from it where they actually fight. Frank knows that he's there. It's their own secluded place. It's he wants to touch it up though, so he can walk around and feel like the old ways and walk around town. He wants to fix up the boutique. He wants to pick up the wine store. He wants to just do certain things to make it feel more like home. Bill is fine with the way it is because he has his sufficient ways, and this is a nice scene showing just a regular ass couple arguing.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see like after all these years, um, he now Frank's starting to come out of his shell. Like I'm pretty sure like he's probably had the dynamic where this guy pretty much saved my life. He's giving me everything. So now I think he's finally starting to settle in. Like this is mine too now. This is my territory. Let me this looks like a mess. You still have 10 years and the whole the clothing store's still a mess. Everything's run down. Can we do something here?
Right.
Um,
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
and you get the background or the backstory a little bit here. Again, Bill was a recluse even before the pandemic, the apocalypse. But
Hmm.
Frank, he seems like he was outgoing. He was the guy. He loves community. He likes being around people, and he has that charm to him. So like after 10 years of just seeing Bill, I think at this point he wants something.
He does. Two chats very much similar. This man won the lottery, started off in a group of 10, so now he's a whole town, food, shelter, and running hot water.
Yes.
Frank finding Bill is equivalent to marrying a billionaire. Hey, Bill the billionaire. There you go. It is. So it's almost just like there's general feelings there. So it's not like, it's sugar daddy-ish, but
Yeah.
they do, and he does want to create more stuff there. He wants to create a life. He's talking to a nice woman on the radio, and they set up a dinner, and Bill holds a gun on the table the whole time.
Yep. So this and it just has that face like, why are you guys here?
Yeah.
Um, it's hilarious. Your partner drags you somewhere you don't want to go.
Yeah.
Um, so when he meets Tess, so I think this is another departure from the game as well. So the relationship of Joel and all the meeting was because of Tess and Frank. I'm pretty sure in the game it was because of Joel and Bill meeting each other. Even though they didn't like each other, they had a working relationship. What Bill over here is Joel's the same way. He like I get it. I don't want to be around people either. I don't want my partner bringing people that I don't know, I don't trust.
Right.
But Joel proves his worth. He looks at his fences and say, "That's going to be all rusted up and none of no use in about what a year or two. I can bring you supplies. I can help you keep this place fortified because eventually someone's going to find it, and you have to
Yeah.
defend yourself."
Yeah. It's the equivalent of what's it called from Walking Dead? Andrea, or what's the name of the
Yeah,
town?
I think no, not Andrea. No, you might be right. It's something
Oh,
like
wasn't
that.
the girl? I can't remember because that shit just
Andrea was the girl. Alexandria.
Alexandria. There it is. It
Yes,
is. But with the worst wall.
way worse. Well, it's one guy, so I'll cut him some slack.
That's
But
true.
again, so episode two, when Tess, when she got, I was like, damn, man, I thought we'd had a little more with her. But I'm glad they showed her here because we got to get a little bit more of her backstory. It's a show. We didn't get to see too much of her already, so this is cool to see.
It was, and she was relaxed. You get to see a different side of the character, and she's
Way
still
different.
in control, making sure that she can do trades with Frank and Bill, and just basically setting everything up. So,
Yeah, this is completely different because like from the moment we see Tess, she's all hardened, she's getting beat up, she's doing all this stuff. Like now we get to see her like you said, relaxed. And you can see that she was the one in control. She was always been the one in control of Joel. Joel was the loose cannon, the wild shot. And she probably I think she saved Joel, to be honest. The way
mhm.
how she seems to be a little more compassionate, a little more okay, we gotta have some type of hope. I think Joel
Yes.
would went to the dark side way, way quicker.
Oh yeah. Mera Mera, I've never pictured Nick Offerman playing this type of role. That is the beauty of someone taking a script and just going for it. It just kind
Hmm.
of blows you out of the water. And I do believe we're going to be talking a lot about Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett come next award season. This is going to be very much remembered It reminds me of like I love The Sopranos, but there's one episode where two people are lost in the woods trying to get rid of a body that runs away that wasn't fully dead, and now they're screwed because they forgot where the car was. It's a very condensed episode that you're going to remember in a series as a whole. It was such art.
Yeah, yeah. I see people say they want a spit off. They want to see more. Um,
This double date scene was good.
it was, and then it gives you more. Um, because again, they never said that Joel and Tess were actually together, but it gives you more like, okay, they were. They never really defined who they were. They never say, oh, this is my. And Joel said partner, but he never said, oh, this is my girl. This is someone who. So it was cool to see more of that. Like Joel and Tess on a date, I'd not have my bingo card.
Yep.
Um, and then what I said earlier, last thing before we jump to this, because this is another genuine scene.
Yes.
I see how Frank survived. This man is not only charming, but he knows how to. Anyone on the radio, he could have found. He found Tess, someone who's trustworthy and capable. So I
Hmm.
could see him being that. Like I said, Tess was the glue. I could see him being the glue as well for a community. If it was like the Walking Dead situation, he'd be the perfect guy to have because you know who to work with, how to get things done, and start building a community to finally feel like before the apocalypse to get that normal.
100%. Just imagine if countries had leaders like that. Let me get this before we get to the scene too, because this is a nice scene that leads into the heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. Uh, Chloe Martinez has a question here. I'm going to direct it to you, Knock. They should have put the part where he's hanging upside down, like in the game. I think that would have been a great scene as well. Your take on that, Knock?
And that's the scene I was waiting for. I would have loved to see that scene. I don't know how it would have fit in here, honestly. Maybe they could have showed when so eventually in the show, Frank has to call Joel to come help because they're getting under attack. Maybe they
Yes.
could have showed something like that with maybe it wouldn't have to be Joel. It could have been one of the people attacking getting caught up and hung up upside down. So I don't know how it would have worked, but I would have loved to see it too. That's one of my favorite parts.
Okay. And of course, season two,
Of
it's got
course,
Greenwood. So,
this ain't
all
Halo.
right. What show that's still around? Anyways, this was so touching. Again, slice of life scenes for these two, spaced out over years and years. The makeup department did a fantastic
Hmm.
job aging both men, and again, their acting. They acted aged. I am an aged old man. I am fine wine.
Still
Certain
young,
things
still
don't
young.
move like they used to move, and these two, they performed greatly. This was such a beautiful scene. He surprises them. In my mind, I thought he was going to have made something extraordinary, this
Hmm.
big painting or something, and it's something so beautiful and simple. It's strawberries.
Yeah, I mean, this man's just been eating nothing but steak for 10 years. I don't know how he must be backed up in the bathroom. I don't know what's going on there to have no fruit, but to finally taste some sugary fresh strawberries after years. This is one of the most genuine scenes I've seen on TV ever.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it. This was really good, and that's what's so special about the show so far. You have so many heart gut wrenching scenes with some of the deaths. You're gonna get the action, and you
Yes.
have scenes like this where it's just like a natural human moment. And I know later on in the episode or in the game, the most humanistic moment we got was when Joel and Ellie got to see the giraffe. So now this is the same feeling I got with Frank and Bill eating the strawberries.
Yeah. Um, this was funny as well too. Him trading strawberry seeds for a gun in any scenario is hilarious, and he seems to be swindling. But man, he did it out of pure love. Again, another great comedic thing because Nick
Hmm.
Offerman probably has names for every single one of these guns, or Bill has names for every one of these guns. Which gun was it? He's like, oh, a small one.
I mean, you see when Ellie got to his basement, you see them guns. This man was loaded.
And yeah, that laugh was so adorable. It was out of left field for Bill, but I liked it. And Knox, don't make us cry already, man.
Yeah, he
Uh,
hit him with that line. That was tough. That was
uh,
tough. You got the sun setting, man. It was the perfect scene.
it was. Just make me cry already. All right. So this leads into this,
Yeah.
which leads into the future. So people are invading. They are attacking. Frank gets woken up by this, by all the fire and the screaming.
Yeah, a lot going on. I also want to know like where these people came from. Of course, there could be any amount of raiders.
Hmm.
Um, and you seen in this scene too, I believe. What was the scene after where? No, it was the scene after where Joel and Bill finally like built up the fences. You had cars blocking it up. You had more
Yeah.
fences. And that was how the game was too. A lot of cars blocking it up. Um, I would have liked a little more action from this scene, but I get it with the pacing. It was already an hour 20. You want to keep the focus on the couple.
Right. It was just done so well. This is a behind the scenes shot here, but Bill gets shot. It leads into Frank helping him on the table. And let's just say you never played the game before. You think Bill's going to die there. You think that's
Yeah,
it, especially where he gets shot.
100%.
Um, I, the I I'm glad there wasn't more action here. As a fan of the video
Okay.
game, but I would have liked some of those scenes in here, but it would have taken away if we'd have had a longer fight scene. And also, we know humans are the bad guy. Why? Because the Walking Dead exist, and the Walking Dead refer to humans because we are the ultimate evil. We kill ourselves, and we got it. We got it. We don't need another show letting us know that we are the ultimate evil on this planet Earth. So it was a nice condensed version of it. We get it. Humans want what he has. He was defending it, and his lover Frank to the rescue.
Yeah. So yeah, Frank came in. Good that he woke up. And, it was, and then Joel eventually would have came to help to save the day as well. We didn't get to see
Yep.
that. And then that's when they skipped ahead, and now Frank was in the wheelchair, I believe.
Yeah. Well, my slides, Chloe, you, everyone's on track.
Okay, so jumping back into the game, then uh, again, you only see Bill. You only know Frank because of the shirt he wears. Bill recognizes his shirt, and you do see that Frank was in the wheelchair as well in the game. And we're getting a little further. We're getting more and more. But this is a good person of Frank to play. I couldn't believe how well done this new character was.
Yeah, I forgot what other show he's in. I don't know if it's White Lotus or whatever other one, but he's there. He he looked the same but unrecognizable in it. So again, kudos to the makeup department for just making him age beautifully.
Yeah,
Yeah, we see here that Frank he's sipping from a cup. He's got soup. He's got pills, which Bill named adorable little names for him. So we kind of get what it is, and we get to the last day.
yeah. So instantly when they jumped ahead and we started figuring out, okay, where's Bill? How is he? Okay, now we look at Frank. You see it in his face. This man is not happy. This man has been depressed for a while. I think this. So this is current day, right? This was the 20-year jump.
Yes.
So yeah, like it's just he's not happy. That was sad to see because you got the strawberry scene and that was all going downhill. It started to happen quick. In the game, you find out that Frank actually did not like Bill at all. So that's how the story was
Right.
playing. That was how the story was playing in the game. There's some notes you pick up as you're playing, and that Frank actually despised him and he's trying to get away. So we'll get to that a little more later.
I'm glad they kept it with this though. Again, just for the emotional
This is a
investment in
better
the
story.
episode.
This is a way better story.
Uh, I've had to take care of a family member that was dying. It is not. It's terrible. I'll be honest with you. And Nick Offerman's take on all this, as Frank was talking, it just hit me. He did such a
Yeah.
good job because he was like, he's still in love with them, and he's like, "You're
Hmm.
not dead. Where there's still more life." But Frank, you don't know what a person's going through in a situation like that, and Frank just basically, he's not throwing in the towel. It's um, like when just to be a pop culture, because that's what we kind of do here. If a TV show is on top, sometimes they want to go out on top because
Yeah.
why make things go worse? Let's. He wants just one more good day. He states, we talked about they didn't all have great days together, but
Yeah.
they did have great days together.
I like that line a lot. Yeah, we didn't have good days. We had some bad days, but I had my most good days with you.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a really good line there. And like you said, like we've been saying this entire episode, Frank, it was the charming dude. Everything he was laughing. It's funny. He was always smiling. The dude was in a hole with a gun to his face. He's smiling. So when you get
Right.
to this, man, this one really hit me part right here because you've seen the dynamic, you've seen the change. Like he just wasn't himself anymore.
No, and when you can't really do things, like it took him all night to get into the wheelchair.
That was another one.
Um, yeah,
That was hard.
that was very hard. We go into the final day. This is it. This is their final day. He wants to have one final meal at the end and basically have Bill put crushed up pills in his wine and put him to bed. But he wants a day though. He wants to be taken out. He wants to go to the boutique. He wants to eat a nice meal.
Yeah.
It's just
Everything he built, everything they built together, the life they
yeah.
had. So going through this day, uh, what do you guys think? Do you think Bill was going to do what he did? like from the jump as soon as he heard the news what Frank wanted to do, or you think going through this day with Frank, he's like, you know what, I can't go back to be myself anymore. I have to. This is gonna be our last day. You don't know it yet, but it's gonna be our last day together.
I think once he agreed to it, because there's time in there where he processed, and I think Bill is someone who look at everything that he set up.
Yeah,
He knows he can pick apart a scenario, and he I think picked apart the rest of his life without Frank, and just
yeah.
saw he Doctor Strange saw every single version of it, and there was only one outcome.
'Cause you know what they say. You know, it's when you have something and you lose it, that hurts worse than not having anything at all.
Yep. And Clay says, I think he came up with the idea as the day went on. That's true too. Knox says the tears came when Bill started crying. It always hurts to see a tough, grumpy guy just sobs uncontrollably. You should watch a John Cena match. All right, and he said something along the lines of, "I only live to make you happy, and without you, I have no purpose." Jesus, I'm gonna start crying during this fucking stream. This was really cute right here too because they let it play out as a scene, and it wasn't dialogue that we heard. It was dialogue between them, most likely small chit chat and banter, but laughter as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, the last day, man. It was such a good thing to go through this. And again, this never happened in the games. This is something completely different. A story that they took they took Bill, a side character who was there for like maybe an hour of the game, a few cutscenes, and Frank, who at the end we only seen his legs, and they put that together, and put this story.
Yeah,
I'm I'm shocked. Like again, video games they have certain stories, but there's like, oh, there's a video game story. But to make that into a show and deliver like this, Neil Druckmann, man, you guys are killing it right now.
yeah. I love this too. The one thing they wanted to do um, was get married, and they
Yeah,
got married. So he said too, "You're going to wear what I want you to wear, and you're not going to argue.
yeah.
You're officially married, buddy."
Yeah, so I'm glad that you had that see you, man. This is a full circle, and that's why I was okay with not seeing the scientist stuff because we got the journey here. It did its purpose here.
Yeah, they go to the meal was just so tough to watch because you didn't know this crossed my mind what Bill was going to do, but I didn't know what was going to happen because of the game. So I didn't know Bill was going to go.
Okay, so now we're at this. I'll say the last tidbit again. Um, in the game, you get an idea that Frank was in a wheelchair because when Bill is walking with Joel, they have to go across the city with Joel and Ellie. It's him and Bill, Joel and Ellie, across the city to find a battery because again, Joel's looking for a battery for a car.
Hmm.
Um, and in the neighbor's house, they see Frank had hung himself, and that's how you see him. And I think this was a way better ending to go out together. So I wasn't sure if Bill was gonna die with him, but that was another change. And yeah, this story was way better than that one.
Yeah, I agree. There's a good comparison right there. Carl and Ellie from Up. Jeez, that one wrecked me in a theater.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Um, and we talk about this every now and then on the channel too. Positivity and love can go way more further than like loud characters and hatred and like snarkiness. So, Chloe, we agree with you right there.
Yeah. So I'm glad it made its change again. And again in the game, you find out that the reason the battery that Bill was looking for to give to Joel was across because Frank stole the battery because he was trying to escape. So I think all this stuff happened. If say this was Frank and Bill in the game going about their stuff, I don't think Bill ever changed. I think Frank just got sick of him. It was a different dynamic, and he was trying to
Yeah.
escape. He was trying to find people, a community. So at this one to see, oh, another an alternate version where he finds community, he finds Bill changed. Bill says to him, like you said, I think someone said in the chat right now, I'm old, I'm satisfied, you're my purpose. He found someone he needed to protect. He fell in love, um, and that was it. So it completely changed Bill's character. It was really cool to see that dynamic for someone who played the game to now see this on screen.
Yeah, it was. We saw too in our little reality here with the pandemic too, how families who haven't seen each other got together during holidays or birthdays or bar
Hmm.
mitzvahs or quinceañeras, and you just saw the love, and it was just like this whole thing. You get the hate with the video game, so if you want that version of it, it exists. You still have that, and you get it with The Walking Dead. That was another thing that was exhausting about it. There's so much hate and backstabbing. It was like three people. It was like Carl and a couple other people that were related to Rick and Michonne, and like that was
Yeah,
it. But like this, just you pepper in love throughout because you're gonna get more hate next episode. There's attacks, but
yeah,
I love this version.
I do too, man. And then
More
so
action next week. It's coming.
it's coming. There's a lot of more scenes. If you've seen the trailer, There's a certain part when they meet that group. There's some raiders. They fall into a trap with some raiders. So you're gonna see some stuff.
All right. Oh man.
Knox
Let's.
Arden, real quick. They really had one of the best lives you can ask for during this world. You got to grow old with the person you love and then die peacefully in their arms. That is true. You don't see that. That is
Yeah,
rare.
that is beautiful. Oh man. I just picture Bill being content. Like this guy that we see, and if you know him from the video games, this person getting so overwhelmed with love, he is content. He is just like, I'm good. That's
Yeah.
it. Frank, who's dying, has different reasons for that as well. But Bill, who can keep going, just says, I'm good. Let's. This is how I want to end it.
Oh man. And I'm not gonna say it, but like this, there's so many parallels between how Bill changes and wants to like protect and care for Frank, with now paralleling that with Joel and Ellie and how their journey's about to be. So to set it off now, as we get straight Joel and Ellie going forward after all this building, the seeds being planted, this is going to be
The
a hell
strawberry
of a
seeds
journey.
being planted.
The strawberry seeds being planted and enjoyed. Oh man, that
That's.
strawberry must have tasted like freaking pints of ice cream at that point.
Ah, they sold that like a mug. This I just want to point out right here, just a random game thing. There weren't too many things I could find online, but this one, the outfits,
Yeah.
variant outfits being in the show, I love this kind of touch
So
too.
believe it or not, there were actually complaints that there were so many complaints about them not having the same outfits in the game as in the show.
Well,
That's just nitpicking. And then they also complained that Joel had that machine gun as opposed to handgun. Like they didn't have a machine gun at this point in the game. I was like, these people bugging. This is a show. You gotta switch it. That's too close.
right. And again, nice touch here with Ellie being excited about hot water and going along with the clothes thing, telling Joel, you need to
Yeah.
shower. So, I mean, it's not like they have wardrobe.
So it's funny you brought that up. So now Joel and Ellie in the show. We get to Bill's house. They're nowhere to be found. Um, Bill leaves everything for Joel. Guns, your car, a battery in the car. He's working. You're chilling. Everything you could possibly ask for, just we gave it to you. In the game, you had to fight and claw for all that stuff. You had to kill like 30 zombies. You had to fight a
Uh,
bloater in a school. That was like one of the first
yes.
boss fights.
Oh.
You had to, and at the end, you had to. The battery wasn't working. He was putting the battery in the car as they were being attacked. They were pushing the car as they were being chased by a whole city of clickers and runners, and they barely escaped. So in the show, you have Ellie have time to take a hot shower. They are chilling. They are playing on easy mode right now. In fact,
Dude, I played this on easy mode because normal was too hard.
they are over here chilling their time, taking their time in the game. You're fighting for your life. I thought that was
Uh,
hilarious. Just watching.
Val, we agree with you. That's a good point too. Knock has PTSD from the game, and it came out
I'm
this
telling you,
episode.
man. And that's where I'm torn because I actually love like, and I see the differences. Playing, if you're playing the way they had the game go, that would have been better. That was just so cool to have that excitement, that rush. Oh, we gotta go, we gotta go.
Yeah,
But to watch and enjoy a story, this is the better way to go because it gave you more emotion.
and that's what we get to, which really sold me on why this episode is the way to go. Ellie going through, she found a gun. She did not tell Joel about.
Yep.
But what she did find was this letter.
Ooh, this one got me.
Yeah. She read it. She started reading it to Joel and then stopped because she knew what was going to trigger him.
Mm-hmm.
So Joel took it and read it. So this is why I think it's better. You have a good story with Bill and Frank, actually a fantastic fucking story with Bill and Frank. And now your theme of Joel losing someone that he blames himself for again,
Yeah,
and he doesn't even know if his brother's okay, so he might blame himself for
that's the thing.
that. Um, you're gonna see their relationship build because of these things, and that's why I think like the Bill situation not being how it was in the game is fine because now you're gonna see these two grow more together and rely on each other more.
You are, and you see that twist because um, what was Joel's whole purpose in the show? To get the battery, to get the car,
Right.
to go find his brother. He
Yep.
has the battery. He has the car. He could just say, "All right, Ellie, bye. Go find his brother." But he says, "You know what? come with me. We're gonna go find my brother. He's gonna have he's a former Firefly. He'll have some information for you. We make sure he's all right. Then we'll go get you to where you need to go.
Yep.
So that's instant a change in him. He's not like that. People don't people forget that he's the main character. Joel lost his daughter and he went through an apocalypse. At this point in time, he wasn't a good guy. He had to do a lot of grimy stuff, a lot of stuff where he did not care. That's what he showed you
Hmm.
when he burned the kid's body. He didn't had no problem doing that. He didn't want to take Ellie at first. Like he's so lost right now. The only attachment he had to reality was Tess. He just lost Tess.
Yeah.
So now to him have make that change kind of on his own. He doesn't have no test to tell him, hey, we should do this. It's him making that. Say, all right, Ellie, let's go. We'll do this. That's a huge change. That's a huge step for him.
Yeah. And Val points out too in the beginning that we talked about here. Val loved how Joel tried to protect Ellie and tried shielding her from the corpses and the innocent civilians who were killed, and trying to stop the virus from spreading. Again, more changes because
That
basically
instinct.
Ellie is just a mission. But the changes, the emotional changes, like you talked about and Val talked about, like these are the things we're slow building. So that's why I'm 100% fine with how this episode played out, because now we're gonna get more emotion from when he does fully embrace Ellie as a
Yeah,
human, not just a mission.
yeah. And I'm glad like we're seeing the changes, but it's a slow burn, and that's gonna make it even better. It's still a slow burn. Like you said, we point out the letter here, and then
Oh, I could put the letter if you want up, but that's
yeah, we
they focus very nicely on just protect Tess.
yeah. And then that made me hit me even more because like, damn, we just had Tess, great character, well acted, and I felt his pain not being able to protect her. Like
Yeah,
Bill just assumes like, oh, Joel's capable, he'll be fine, he'll get to experience the love I experienced, and having that hit Joel and him go outside, like that was that really hit.
yeah. And then Val points out too, and her expression when they got in the car, small details, is her not knowing what a seatbelt was, and he told her to put it on. Chef's kiss, mwah.
Oh man, we have a troll in the chat. We have someone who's clearly lost a bug that's not a star. I love the part where the Master Chief came to terms with his lost childhood and tragedy of war. Listen, man, no one's watching
No
that
one's talking
show.
about
We're talking about The Last of Us, buddy.
that. No one wants your Master Chief stuff.
Oh man,
That was I do like that. I agree with Val. The innocence brought back,
yeah,
and it's this time it's brought back. Last time it was brought back heavily in the beginning of the episode with the bodies. This time it was just as simple as a kid just not knowing how to work a seatbelt.
yeah. And Joel's like, "Hey, stop touching stuff." Don't. And she tried to put the tape in the radio. He's like, "Oh no, keep it. Actually, that's a good song."
Yes, and I
Just
love how they aged the vehicle to have a
mhm.
cassette player. So
Yeah, just good stuff there. Very similar scene to how it played in the game with this car ride. What else happened here that I wanted to touch on? I think someone said in the chats. Yeah, Knox says as long as the changes are well written, I don't see the problem. Yeah, there's no exactly, and I'm loving this because again, when you're a first season and you're an unproven IP, you're a video game, but that's a new world here. The
yes,
budget, just because it's HBO doesn't mean the budget's gonna be well. We got a great show with great acting, and people are loving it. And I don't think the budget would have been all that crazy. There wasn't too much action in it. So now, going as the episodes go on, you can save that budget for some really cool stuff later on in the season, which I'm very excited for.
yeah. Even next season or next episode, it looks like it's gonna pick up with the action, and yeah, that's adorable. It's like a rocket ship. They don't take the child out of the child. It's still
Yeah,
there. She just still wants to learn. But this is just where it hits. This is too much. This one almost like I don't know. This broke me.
yeah. The whole window. That's another part my girlfriend really liked the whole window scene she pointed out when we were watching. She said this is her favorite episode so far out of the first three. So an hour 20 was really good. And I have a prediction for next episode. I think we're finally going to get the brothers. If you did play the video game, there's something that's going to hit even heavier. The heaviest part um, is going to be later on. So if you're liking this, if you're liking what happened, if you thought Joel losing his daughter, you thought Tess, you thought this story, there's so much more to come, man. And there's so many cool action set pieces for people who are wanting action as well.
Yep. Oh man, I'm excited. The window scene. Oh man. Again, too, the windows in the game.
Word 789. If as long as it's not a spoiler, definitely go for the comparison.
Yeah, let us know. Mara, we got a little bit more to cover, and then yeah, we'll get some more opinions and
Yeah,
comparisons. Everything about this episode was just wow, and then the final window scene, that was just so. This whole episode was art.
yeah. Um,
So
let's see what
let
he
me
said.
just cover this really quick here. So this is their reasoning for changing. The Last of Us HBO creators explained why they made big changes to Bill and Frank's story, and Neil says, "Here we could." I'm sorry, I got old man eyes. Here, we could see what happened with Bill in the outbreak. And then what was it like to meet Frank and fall in love with Frank and grow old with Frank? And then the full cycle of love and living together with someone and experiencing loss. But loss is tinged with happiness of having lived a full life filled with love.
That's why it was so good because when you find out Frank dies in the game, you don't like you see Bill's upset, like he's clearly upset. That's the first time he actually really showed emotion in the game. So you get that, but you don't really get the feeling because you didn't get to know who Frank was. You just unless you read the notes, and some people skipped over notes. Some people didn't even really make that connection. Word 789. I am upset that we don't get to see Bill and Ellie bicker. I said the same thing. Their back and forth, their banter in the game was so well done. So I agree with you there. Um, that one sucks. That one definitely hurts. But for the story, like you said, you love the episode. Besides that, I get it too. The other
Yeah.
thing I said was in the game, you, when you're escaping Bill's town, you have to put the battery in the car. You have to escape. All these clickers are trying to be after you. So that was such an intense scene. I love that part. And then when you watch the show, they have all the time in the world. Ellie's taking a shower, they're changing clothes, and they're taking their time to drive out all peacefully. So it's just little changes like that. It works, and I'm glad they're taking chances. So if someone watching a video game watching this, I can see something different. I don't know what to expect. I'm still on the edge of
Yes.
my toes. And if you haven't watched it, it's such well done, such good writing.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's just art. I just love this, and again, here, I love that they hinted toward the corpses being in there with the window open for the smell without showing the bodies. Again, it's artfully done. You don't need to show corpses with like maggots and all this other stuff. You just we're smart enough. You respect your audience, and you just give us art.
Yeah. Um,
What is your ultimate conclusion about Bill and how good this was?
Ultimate conclusion:
Not in the
great.
episode, just on Bill Offerman compared to in the
Just
game.
on
Let me just say that.
just on Bill.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nick Offerman.
This I feel like I can't separate them because I feel I got Bill current day, like straight up
Mhm.
at the apocalypse in the game, where I got to see him interact with people. I got to see him interact with Joel more and Ellie, which is really cool. And I was looking at from Joel and Ellie's perspective because I'm playing as them. You never get to see Bill's perspective. Now with the show,
Right.
you get to see Bill's perspective, you get to see his backstory, to see why who he is, who he fell in love with. Um, so it's really hard to. It's just like it's really hard to compare. I don't know who I like better. I do miss the Bill and Ellie. I will say that interaction would have been amazing.
Mhm.
But for the purpose of this story, I think this story is gonna the show story is gonna resonate with more people than the game.
I agree. Black Gallic, yeah, this is so good. We're all broken here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Shout out to Black Alec, Mirror Mirror, Word 789 for joining us in the chat. Um, yeah, I think as much because I was playing and I'm a gamer, so playing Bill in the game, I think it was cool. But the show, again, that's gonna hit everyone. You have to be a gamer. You have to do it. It's just a great thing for people to watch.
Yeah. I absolutely love this episode. This is something I would go back and watch without re-binging the series.
That's another thing too. I'm glad you brought that up. You can watch it without binging, and for a newcomer, you could show them this episode, just jumping in, and I think that would convince them to go, oh, let me start from the beginning now. Let me watch this episode. You can watch it blind. I think.
Yo, 100%. Yeah. It's just amazing to me how they made a movie and how they
Yeah,
made a movie fit within the start. This is only the third episode, fit within the start of a TV show that is a huge IP, like you said, that needs to be proven yet, and they made it work. This isn't
yeah,
like season 7 and they need filler episodes. Sometimes Lost would do these episodes where they just focused on characters. After a while, there weren't stories to those two characters, and now you're just filling episodes for the sake of filling episodes. Like they
Yeah.
just brought in two new characters, made a damn good film as your episode of your first season. Oh
So
man, just,
so what I told you last week that this was the episode that everyone said sold them on the show. Setting that bar, did they beat it for you? And what do you think going into it? Like, okay, this is it.
the bar has kind of been exceeded because not only have they stuck to, other than the variation of storylines and other things, especially with this and Bill and Ellie compared to them not having the interaction, they have made me feel like I was in the game. A lot of the shots seem like it's the game shots, and I just my expectations make this seem like it's more than just a project for people. It's a love letter for everyone who's working
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah. So shout out to them, man. Definitely keep an eye out going forward for even more Easter eggs to bring to you guys. Episode 4 happening next week. Is it gonna be an hour 20 or is it gonna be back to 1 hour?
I can look it up really quick. Here you go, Knock. Val's girl thinks she's a gamer playing Mario Kart and Fall Guys.
Wow, sounds I could relate. But that's too loud though. But that's too loud though.
Let me set up these chats. I'll check out the episode length for next week, and then we'll get
Uh,
some like time or ratings. That's what I'm
yeah.
trying to think of.
Black Gale, I cannot wait for episode 4. Yeah, I cannot wait too. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some really cool stuff again. We're gonna get a lot more action. You can tell from the trailer we're gonna get a lot more action. There's still so much they can touch on. Like we still got to find out where Tommy, Joel's brother, is. There's a few more characters we still got to meet. I don't know if they're gonna do this in the show, but if you played the game and you read some notes, there's this really crazy story of the a character named Ish.
Okay.
That was like throughout the entire game, you find his notes on your journey. So same thing as you're going on a journey with Joel and Ellie, you're reading about this character's journey. So if they can maybe introduce him as a character in the show, that'd be really cool. I don't know if they're gonna have time to do that. Again, we only have 9 episodes, but that'd be really cool to see something different for someone watching who played the game to watch on the show.
Yeah. No time length
Okay.
on announced yet, so it'll probably come out tomorrow or Wednesday to let this episode breathe and get watched.
Yeah.
Awesome episode. Like I could watch it again right now. And
Yeah.
what do you rank this? So out of 5.
Ooh. So I think first episode I gave 4.5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Second episode I think I might have gave what a 4. I lowered it a little bit because I didn't like the ending as much.
Mm-hmm.
This one I'm gonna go with another 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was really well done. The changes they made only benefited it, and it still brought the gamer in, but also brought the wider audience in. So yeah, I really don't have many complaints about it. I thought the pacing for someone who's coming out of a video game and adapting it. The pacing is awesome.
It is. I know I gave last week's episode a 5 out of 5 because it felt like the video
Bro,
game.
this is getting tense. It's getting tense. So if you
I'm
got
giving
it,
this a 5 out of 5. This, like you said, you can have anyone watch this. If you took the Joel and Ellie stuff out of this, it's a fucking well done movie. It's so beautifully done. Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett were so good together. There was no hesitation for any of the scenes. There was just honesty. There was real acting. It was also character acting because they still have to play their characters from the video games a little less for Frank because of, you can't get into that backstory and do this story. But part of me was thinking of you rating it a little bit lower because you didn't have the Bill and Ellie stuff from the game, which I really liked.
Bill
But
and Ellie. Yeah.
as an episode, this is just so fucking perfect. This is I absolutely love this episode. 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Um, I'm mad. I'm not mad, but like I would have loved to see the Bill and Ellie interaction. But I think the reason I'm lowering it is actually just it doesn't really have to do with the episode. I think it just has to do with the fact that I know it's only 9 episodes, and I really want them to dedicate time to Joel and Ellie's journey because that's going to be carry the show, and I want to see that develop for what's going to happen towards the ending and how we're going to build that journey. That's me because it took a lot of time away from them, but I still can't complain because it was such a great what they did was so well done. How often do shows go away from the main characters and you're not like, oh, this is dragging. I don't want to see this no more. It actually just builds and builds even more.
Yeah. Exactly. They went when they did that dinner scene or that lunch scene in the front yard with Tess and Joel. I was like, oh yeah, they're part of the show. I forgot. They did such a good job making you forget about everything going on.
Yeah. What's we got? Val says Frank kept giving me Joaquin Phoenix vibes.
Okay.
I can see it a little bit there in the face, maybe with the beard, maybe.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was setting this up, I kept setting up stuff for Murray Bartlett's character, and because of how Joaquin Phoenix and Joker says Murray's name at the talk show,
Yeah.
Murray. That's how
Oh
I say
yeah,
any
yeah.
Murray's name now is Murray.
I do remember that. Oh man. But yeah, that was our live reaction review discussion. I got a 4.5 out of 5 from me, 5 from Zach. Let us know your scores in the chat below. This is episode 3 of The Last of Us on HBO. We'll be back next week for episode 4. Very, very excited to see what else they do, man. This show's in a roll. Already renewed for season 2.
Yes.
20 plus reviews. Shout out to original voice actress Annie. Did a great job, and sad to see her go. But Zach, any last words?
Just check us out. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know we're going to do this. Sometimes we can't do it the day after. So again, subscribe, be part of this great community. I loved all the comments, all the stuff you guys gave. Just beautiful comments. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah, thank you all for watching, man. We'll see you guys next week for episode 4. This is The Last of Us, my favorite game ever. And I'm so excited to see all this stuff, man. Keep joining the chats. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Peace out, y'all.
Take care, everyone.